Welcome to You and Aya, the human experience. I'm your host, Aya, and I will be taking you on a journey of self-discovery through personal experiences. This podcast was created in hopes to give you a fresh perspective on life and to expand your beliefs that no matter what, you are in charge of your own life and your own success. In the previous chapter, Redesign, I briefly indicated flaw number 1 and how it is standing in the way of you fulfilling your legacy. Again, this is a mere observation and from personal experience. And since this flaw is broad, it might very well be relatable to you. You know, something that you have encountered. So you relying heavily on social media platforms is becoming dangerous because you are at a point where you aren't able to differentiate your pure purpose in the world versus being in the cyber world. What expectations is it setting you up for? And why are you allowing it? See, as humans, we give things value. Diamonds, for example, are nothing but carbon under pressure, yet they are valuable because we give them value. Shoes, purses, smartphones, fancy houses, luxury cars, all valuables because of us. You and I give meaning to materialistic things. We give them a reason to have our attention. So why is this happening, especially recently? Look around you. Take a moment and ask yourself, why is it important for you to have X, Y, and Z? Or why is it so important for you to do X, Y, and Z? We are creators. You and I are creators by nature. Yet here we are, instead of creating, we are following and consuming. And we tend to do so because we are so distracted by things around us that are completely meaningless. Give yourself some time and just be. Be with yourself. And when you do, ask yourself, why are you giving social media platforms such value? Is there something you are trying to create in your real life but cannot? So you gravitate toward the cyber world? Why are you choosing it? Again, the questioning, not just about social media, but about everything around you. The news, for example. You and I are on this earth to question. No new idea was ever made by sticking to what we know. Again, the motives, the dissatisfaction I talked about. Why are you following the herd? And could it be a feeling of a dissatisfaction within? A lack of originality? Intense influence from the medias? Just a thought. So the cyber world is becoming your escape. It is an addiction to numb you from what you are afraid to face, like knowing yourself, or facing the fact that you are in an unhealthy relationship, or the fact that you have a draining job that you dislike, or that you need to stop drinking or using. Maybe you're afraid to face the fact that you have a bad relationship with your family members, or the fact that life is just shit because of war, racism, sexism, that thing still exists. Whatever you are afraid to face. You and I, we use temporary distractions to pull us away from our truth, our legacy. You remember in my pilot, Unfold, I mentioned how when I was depressed, I was using sleep and drugs as an escape from my reality. I wanted to escape because I didn't want to face the fact that I wouldn't be able to achieve the life I genuinely wanted for myself. I was afraid. And most specifically, I was afraid to fail and disappoint, which to me, my individual definition of success is freedom of choice, peace of mind, and financial stability. Maybe this can give you a new perspective or show you how you and I are using different methods of coping and how these definitions of success root from something you absolutely truly desire the most. Now you're probably thinking, all right, woman, tell me what is standing in my way? Help me figure this out. I want to fulfill my legacy. Here's the tricky part. I cannot tell you exactly what to do, but I can give you a method that you can implement, and I will share that with you in chapter 6, as well as mentioning new flaws in the upcoming chapters. I also cannot help someone that doesn't want to be helped. You simply must acknowledge the fact that you want to change, that you need to change for yourself and for others, and overall, for humanity. Use that dissatisfaction within to your advantage. It's obviously trying to tell you something about the way you take charge of yourself and your life. The best way I can compare the process of fulfilling your legacy is the grief process. When you think about grief, you might immediately think depression, even though there are 7 stages. The reality is that the process of grieving isn't linear. You don't go through the stages back to back or in order. No. In fact, your emotions are all over the place. They are very individual to your perception of the incident. Same with legacy fulfillment. The dissatisfactions you go through aren't in the same order for you and I, and what triggered them to emerge. They are different, and they each surface depending on your perception of yourself and reality, and how much you truly desire to act on it for that change to take place. You are seeking your legacy here. So far, you know you need to acknowledge the feeling of dissatisfaction within, meaning understanding this irritation, this dismay that is leading you to seek temporary fixes. The mission here is to break the molds of your dated self on all levels. In short, being willing to pause, question, and ask. You've got to find and know yourself. Everything you want to be and achieve lies within you. There will be more awakening moments to come. And some of these moments will be, I had enough of this. I'm tired of this. I can't take this anymore. I feel trapped. I'm ready to do something about this. These feelings are indicators. They are showing you that you need to make a change. And what is that change? You will have to figure this out. Take a trip down to memory lane and take notes of what situations made you feel dissatisfaction. Take certain time frames of your life and try to decipher it and why it made you feel the way it did. What kind of people had influence on you, whether good or bad, and why? Look at repeated habits and ask yourself, is it true? Should I be looking into this aspect about myself? Meaning, what kind of feedback do people give you? And how does it resonate with you when you hear it? Obviously, there are many factors that hinder your growth, and you will definitely stumble upon something that might set you back, even make you question, why are you doing any of this? Fulfilling your legacy, that is. Who is Aya? Why am I listening to her? What are her credentials? I mean, she's got a great accent, but come on. Just hang on. I am about to spill the beans. There will be times that resistance will compromise your entire progress. There will be times that you will tell yourself this is absurd and that it won't make a difference. You must stay strong and you must follow your intuition. And no matter what, you cannot let anyone control your decision because you are the only person in charge of your legacy. It is time to discover yourself. And that journey is beautiful. There is this quote I read a while ago. I don't remember who said it, but it goes along the lines of, I don't really know the key to success, but I do know the key to failure is trying to please everyone else. And if you're listening to this and you got scared of the thought of starting to dig into your psyche, this is when you know that you must do it. And if you are listening and saying, what is she talking about? Or, I know myself, I know who I am, then let me tell you, you should dig even deeper. This process isn't easy, but it's doable. And here is the thing, you might have already reached that awareness, but maybe you have decided not to act on it, or ignored the thought, or maybe you just didn't know what it was and you had no idea how to approach it. You know one flaw you're doing right now? Not heading over to the coffee house and grabbing a free small drink of your choice. Come on, who denies a free drink? All you have to do is use the code COHO at the counter. This offer is only valid the day of the podcast release, every Thursday and Friday after. To the coffee house, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode. My bachelor's degree is in world languages and cultures, emphasis in the Spanish language, as well as a minor in psychology. I also have a master's degree in mass communications, emphasis in radio and TV. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to know that even though this podcast is in fact based on personal experiences and perspective, I also am educated on the topic of mass communications and psychology. I'm simply sharing my credentials because, there are people out there pretending to be something they aren't with absolutely no credentials, and it baffles me that you actually remotely consider them as a source to implement in your precious life. So, what is mass communications, and why is it so important for you to understand the world that you live in? The ways of communication have been happening and evolving since the beginning of time. Other than the verbal and the signals and the signs and the gestures, I'm referring to newspapers, magazines, radio, and television, and when they surfaced into our lives, and the huge part they play in our society today, and how they are reshaping everything about you and I. I learned about it, and it is just a big game to control the masses. At least that's my conclusion. It is really just for advertising and to sell you shit. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because at one point when I started my master's program, it was during the time where I was on the journey to fulfill my own legacy, which, by the way, is still in progress because it's a process and good things take time. I did a complete life audit. The first thing I did was deactivate all social media platforms. The way I saw it, if you are my real friend, you would have my personal number. Nobody else needed to know what I was up to, what I was wearing, or what I owned, which gave me so much time to prioritize myself and my life. I reevaluated some of my friendships. I started doing inner work by facing my demons, and by doing so, I started mending my relationship with myself, my family, and my friends. I unsubscribed to all streaming services. I was reading more books. I got 3 jobs and started saving money. I picked up a new hobby. I was eating healthy. I was working out. I was doing everything I've wanted to do but couldn't act on it before because I was too busy following the herd and doing what everyone else was doing, especially letting social media dictate my life. And I also did so because I wanted people's approval. It was a big issue for me. I wanted to be accepted badly to the point I was neglecting my soul. But that's for another chapter. It came to my attention that being social media free for half a year is that I'm actually living. I'm connected with myself and with others. I'm contributing to society by being me, Aya. This is a perfect example of how I started my legacy fulfillment. Mostly with me being dissatisfied about my life, but to you it might be different. It is how you approach it, and most importantly, what you decide to change and shed off. I'm simply here to make you aware that we have come to a time where you and I are supposedly connecting via social media, but in reality, it is disconnecting us than ever before and making us neglect the human experience. I wrote a paper on how the heavy use of social media over the years might alter the user's perception of themselves and their purpose in life and set unrealistic expectations for consumers as individuals. I even conducted a survey on the topic, and I presented it in the 65th Annual World Social Science Association conference. When I started my research, what I was gathering about social media was rather shocking. The negative side to it made me want to share it with you. A lot of research went into that paper, yet I still felt limited because I wasn't sharing what I wanted to share and with whom I wanted, especially my perspective. If it's anything you need to know about me, it is that I dislike being confined or tamed. So it felt like the right time to start this podcast. This is actually one of many reasons this podcast exists. It is because I discovered that academia and published journals are unfortunately not very appealing to the public, to young peeps, because we live in a TikTok generation. You are the 10-second span generation. There's no way you're going to sit and read a 50-plus paper with its sources on this. So me sitting behind the mic and sharing my experience, my perspective, and what I have learned is so much more useful. You want someone like you, someone you can relate to share something you can use to better your future. Isn't that what we're all looking for? I'm here to help you, since nobody did it for me. I want to inspire you and lead you to Wonderland. Now, think about why perspective is so important, and how can you use it to be kind and respectful to others by being aware that they are going through their own challenges as well. You and I are going through a lot, and the flaws are being thrown at us from all directions. Can you pinpoint at least one flaw that is standing in the way of your legacy? In the next episode, part 2, I want to talk about technology taking over and a little more about social media, instant gratification, and the bandwagon effect. So, to be continued. Life is many things, yet there is one thing you and I can agree on. Life is unfair. By accepting that, you will allow yourself to welcome your reality, and from there, fight the norms and be true to yourself. Welcome to you and Aya, the human experience. Are you ready to fulfill your legacy? As promised, I'll be releasing a new chapter each Thursday. Next week's chapter is titled Disconnected. Make sure to leave me your thoughts in the Q&A section. I truly do look forward to see what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.